Hello and welcome. Today I will be talking about the mysterious life and the even more mysterious death of Miss Natalie Wood. Natalie was born in San Francisco in 1938 to a family of Russian immigrants. Natalie's mother dreamed of becoming an actress and transferred those ambitions onto young Natalie. Natalie was in 18 movies before she was the tender age of 16, first appearing in Happy Land in 1943, and then Miracle on 34th Street following after. When Natalie was a young girl of 5, in between those two movies, her mother brought her to see a psychic, and this psychic said that she would be a famous star and that Natalie would die in dark water. Through her childhood, her mother would torture her with this fact and constantly remind her. What great parenting skills, right? Because of this, Natalie was genuinely terrified of water, so much so that she wouldn't go into public pools, she wouldn't even wash her hair. This poor young girl, breadwinner. When Natalie was 9, she starred in a movie called The Green Promise in 1949. During this shooting, there was a scene that involved Natalie running across a bridge. It involved Natalie running across a bridge, and the bridge was rigged to collapse when Natalie ran across it to add dramatic effect to the scene. Natalie was so hesitant, she was terrified to do this, and her mother convinced her that it wasn't going to collapse, that she would be fine and safe. However, it did, and in the sheer panic of the scene, Natalie ended up breaking her wrist. Her mother didn't take her to a doctor. She had to let it heal, naturally, and on her own. Yes, we have this terrifying, greedy mother who has put this poor child in harm's way. But when Natalie was 10, she met another character, a Mr. Robert Wagner, who at the time was 18 and also working with 20th Century Fox Pictures. Now, as soon as Natalie turned 18, Robert Wagner and herself were put on as a celebrity propaganda piece to date. However, they did actually fall in love. They fell in love on the water, actually. And they got married on a yacht in the Canary Islands. So water was an essential part of their marriage, even though Natalie was terrified. Maybe Robert liked having this kind of hold on her. Who knows? However, in the fall of 1981, the couple bought a boat, and it was called the Splendor, after the name The Splendor in the Grass movie that Natalie starred in 1961. During that summer, Natalie had been working on a film with Christopher Walken. Now, Christopher Walken was directing a movie called Brainstorm, which Natalie had found herself starring in yet again. The two became very close friends. And Robert at this time was working on his own piece called Heart to Heart. And somehow the three of them decided that it would be great to have a Thanksgiving getaway weekend on the boat. However, jealousy had always been an issue in Natalie's relationship with Robert. And during this boat weekend, there was nothing different about it. Robert was seething with jealousy, caused by Christopher and Natalie simply having a good time, joking, laughing, and enjoying themselves, as anyone should when you invite them on vacation. The night of November 28th, the threesome docked the boat at Albion and went ashore and began drinking a ton. And after their liquid dinner, the three of them went back to the ship. Now, the ship wasn't exactly on shore in a deck or in a docking area. You had to actually take a dinghy boat to get to the watercraft, which was being captained by the captain, Devon. And Devon is an unreliable witness through this story because he didn't come out with what he had to say until almost 30 years later. But I've gotten too far ahead of myself. That night, on November 28th, many people saw the couple fighting. The bartender, the taxi ride there, other boats next door. How could you miss this hot celebrity couple dramatic scene? However, the witnesses, from their perspective, say that Natalie was the instigator for this first fight. However, I think this might be a little iffy based on what you're able to hear and see, especially on a boat, but I wasn't there. But the moral of the story and why they were fighting has finally come out. And it was the fight that Natalie wanted to keep the boat where it was, and Robert wanted to move the boat. However, it was very dark and there was a storm, and we know that Natalie is terrified of water. And at this point, the fighting continued, and she got so upset that she just wanted to get off the boat. So she asked the captain, their employee, to take her back to shore. And he did. The following day, she woke up, she was in a better mood, and she wanted to go back to the boat to smooth things over. However, she didn't. Her and Christopher ended up going back to the bar, and Robert ended up showing up later that day, obviously very angry. However, he still sat down and continued to party on with the two of them. They were so intoxicated by the time they left to go get back on the boat that the bartender actually called the harbor master and said, you know what, I've got these celebrities, they are going buck wild, and they need safe passage to get to their boat because I don't want this to be my responsibility. So apparently, the first story that came out is that everyone came back to the boat very calm, and they went into this room on the boat called the salon room. And it's basically just like a large lounge area, maybe a little kitchen. And here, Natalie started making a pot of tea. And that was the end of the story, and apparently everyone had just gone to bed. But about 30 years later, it came out that Captain Davert saw that Robert and Christopher had gotten into a huge fight, and Robert had actually threatened him with a broken wine bottle and accused him of wanting to sleep with his wife. At this point, Natalie is sad and embarrassed and angry about the whole thing. The weekend is absolutely ruined. So Christopher asks Captain Darren to take him back to shore, which he does. And when they return, the ship was so silent. He went downstairs to check on Natalie and Robert. He knocked on the door, and Robert opened aggressively and said, "Go away." So he did. But the fighting before the captain and Christopher had left was so bad, it sounded like someone was being assaulted, which, from later coronary results, was the case. Later that night, Captain Darren came around the back of the boat and saw Richard Wagner just standing there, head in his hands, saying, "She's gone missing. She's not here." Now, Captain Darren thought this was very strange and suggested that they call the Coast Guard and, turn on the searchlights and try to find Natalie, because everyone knew about this fear of water she had. Where was she going to go? They were in the middle of the ocean. However, Robert wasn't a fan of this idea. He actually insisted that they sit and drink, which they did for about an hour. Afterwards, the captain said, "We have to call." He insisted, he pushed, saying, "Robert, we have to report this." And Robert said, "No, she's just in town at the bar." However, Captain Darren was very upset and worried that she wasn't back yet. So they did call and report her missing at about 1:30 a.m. However, they knew she was missing at about midnight. Move forward. November 29th. Natalie's body was found by a lifeguard. She was wrapped in a heavy coat, a nightgown, and wool socks. Now this is weird, just simply based on the outfit. If she had left and got into town. She's a celebrity, known for her fashion abilities and her sense of style. I don't think that she would have left the house looking like that. I mean, at the time, women put on lipstick before giving birth to go to the hospital. The other weird thing is that Natalie wouldn't have gone in the dinghy by herself in the dark. And the police report said that there was a dinghy found about a mile away from where her body was found. But at this point, she would have asked Captain Darren beforehand to take her. This made no sense. This was pretty much ruled an accidental drowning right off the jump. The story that the police believed that was she wanted to get off the boat because she was so mad at Robert. So she took the tiny dinghy, untied herself, got in, and left. And that is how she ended up drowning. The night before, she had asked Captain Darren to take her. Why wouldn't she have done it again? He was more than happy to. As a celebrity, they don't have to do things for themselves. And you know what? I mean, she may have been completely intoxicated, and I, too, have done some pretty crazy things while intoxicated. But I know I have a fear of spiders, and I would not, no matter how drunk I was, go touch, play with, find spiders. So I really don't think that she would be going off gallivanting in a boat, drunk, on dark water, especially because what the psychic had told her. Her family has mixed reviews about this. Robert Wagner's daughter believes that he is innocent. However, Natalie Wood's sister believes that he is to blame, seeing that their whole marriage had been fraught with domestic abuse, fights, scandals. It's a little outrageous that they took this long to come up with it and to come out with it. This case was wide open again in 2011 when Captain Darren came forward with his truth. And then in 2012, the coroner actually changed what he said and said that she looked like a victim of a gruesome assault before her drowning. And this changed the charge from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. After that, Robert was considered a person of interest immediately. His story didn't add up. However, no charges were ever faced or laid. Christopher Walken has remained extremely silent about this. Now, you and I both know what the actual cause might be, and it has completely changed my mind about psychics and how they work. I just hope that Natalie is at peace now. That poor woman. And you know what? Thank you for staying and listening. And I would love to tell you another spooky tale another time. Enjoy your summer.